Hi everyone, it's Bev DeBono, and I have a fast page, double page spread for us to do. Only measurements you need to remember are 2 3/4 by 11 1/2, 8 times. Okay, and all we're going to do is cut our strips into 2 3/4 lengths and then 11 1/2. And then I'll show you a couple of variations on that. And then the side strip is either 2 3/4, or this particular one happened to be 3 inches because I was actually using the paper in the pack that was 3 inches wide. But even though it seems to be a simple layout, there are a lot of different ways that you can still put your photos on here. And this is for 2 4x6s, a 4x4, but you can also move them around so that you're not covering up the whole design. And then overlapping, I think, is good also. Sometimes you can overlap. 3 1/2 by 3 1/2s are good as well on some of these. 3 1/2s by 5 1/2s. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use these. Look at that, I've got four photos on that one. And depending on how much embellishments you do on the corners will certainly make a difference as to what you can put on the page. So now this one I've just got 4x6, 4x4, 4x6, 3 1/2. So you see there's a lot of different ways that you can configure your photos and without covering up the whole background. Because the point of this is just making a different background. And just using some fun papers. And these were all scraps that I had lying around. This one I'll probably put a big white circle here. I didn't get a chance to do that, but you see, you can really jazz these up. So let's get started. And what you're going to need is 2 background pieces. So I'm going to use 2 white cardstocks, 12x12 cardstocks. And then you want to select some of your papers that are going to coordinate. So I'm going to use, actually, for this page that I'm doing tonight, I'm going to be using the Passport to Adventure because I kind of like these words. And on a page like this, they're really very busy. So by cutting them up, this will actually pop them a little bit more. So I am using some of these that I have left over. And then you want a coordinating strip that's going to go down the side that you can put your titles on. Now you can use 4 different colors. You can use this particular one. I just repeated the pattern. There were two patterns that I used with one on the side. This one that I did for graduation is 4 different patterns with a strip down the side. So the choices are endless. It's really what you have around and what you really want to use. And you see by just changing them up how different it looks. And again, just laying your photos on here in whatever way is convenient for you. So let's get started. We're going to cut 2 3/4 by 11 1/2, 8 times. So if this particular one, I'm using only 2 pieces of paper, so I'm going to have to cut 4 of each of them. So I'm going to do 2 3/4. Okay, and then I'm going to cut the 1/2 inch. I'm just going to turn it to the side and cut the 1/2 inch off right away. So that's my 11.5. Okay. Now this particular one has all the words on it, and I really don't want to cut into the words. I want them to sort of match. So I'm going to have to cut a little bit off the top of this because otherwise it's not going to work for me. So if you're using something with such a pronounced pattern like this, you may have to do a little bit of finagling like I'm doing right now. So that way I can have the same pattern. So 2 3/4 by 11.5, and then just clip that 1/2 inch off the side right as you're cutting. All right, let me do this one again. 2 3/4. If you're using an all over pattern, it is much, much easier. And this is going to be by the 1/2 inch. And this, I want to start right on the words. So I'm going to cut that off. I know I shouldn't have picked something that was so specific here. And then 2 3/4 by 11.5. There we go. That's the last of that pattern. And now I'm going to use an all over pattern, and that will make it much, much faster. So I'm going to use 2 of these. And these are already leftovers from a class that I had done. So 2 3/4 by 1/2 inch. Okay, now once you get your 8 pieces cut, then decide on what your pattern is going to be, that you're going to have your coordinating pattern that's going to pick up all the colors or give it another contrast. If you use the exact same paper, it's not going to show a contrast. So it's better to have one that's a little bit more of a contrast, like this one you can really see as the contrast on it. And I'm going to cut this to, you could either cut these to 2 3/4 or 2.5. I'm going to make this just a little thinner, 2.5. But you can also make it 2 3/4 and 2.5 or 2 3/4. And this time I'm not going to cut it to 11.5 because I want the pattern to go all the way from the top and bottom and anchor those strips. Okay, now here's another choice that you can make on this. If you want, you can use your corner rounder and round all the corners of these strips, and even the strips that are going down the side. So that is entirely up to you. I just wanted to round the corners on the graduation ones. I thought it just softened it just a little bit. But on the football, I'm not going to round the corners because it was much more of a masculine type of, of a layout. So it's, again, up to you how you want to do that. And we're just going to, you have a couple choices on this as well. You can just layer your strips, alternate your strips. think about this one at the top. Just alternate your strips. If you're using two colors, then alternate using four colors. Find the pattern that works best for you. And you can just lay them right in the middle of the page, such as I'm doing here. So just center them all the way along, top and bottom, or you can stagger them like I did here on the football one. And again, it just had a little bit more interest. So one went more to the left, the next one went more to the right, this one more to the left, this one more to the right. Again, it adds a little bit more interest. So again, it's such a flexible layout. You decide how you want to put them on there. Okay, so I'm just going to tape down my strips right now. I'm going to keep this one centered because I'm going to do something else with this with the pens. After I'm done, I'm going to just draw a line all the way around the edge, like a border edge. And whenever I do something like this, it has to be centered. I usually do my top strip and my bottom strip first, get those centered, and then I can really adjust the two middle strips. Sometimes if you start at the top and then you keep making your way down, by the time you get to the bottom, it's off center, or you, well, for me, I know that sometimes I don't plan it as well. So just a tip, I like to start with my top strip, then my bottom strip, and then the middle ones I can adjust accordingly to make sure that they're centered. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, but before I do that, I'm going to take my coordinating strip and I'm going to put that at the end, probably at the 1-inch mark. At the 1-inch mark. And then this will give me a really nice place to embellish and put my title, and that will work out really well. Okay, so now I'm just going to do my left-hand side. You see what a fast pattern this is, and it really is very flexible. I've done so many pages with this now. I kept saying, wow, this is really easy. This is really fast. And it really is. And every time I change the papers, and I'll show you all the different ones I did with this. Every time I change the papers, they look just a little different. And then of course, the way that you're going to add your photos is going to make them a little different. Here we go. That's the, so really fast double page spreads. And as I said, you can round the corners on these. That will give it more interest. Or you can alternate them going to the left or to the right. That will give it more interest as well. I've done them many different ways, and they all look great. So your coordinating strip is going to be at the 1-inch mark, top and bottom. Okay, and then all you're going to do is just add some titles or embellishments. So for this one, I'm using some of the travel suitcase. I think I want that there. Eat well, travel often. Okay, and I think that works well for there. And then I'll probably do a suitcase over here with some other embellishments when I get a minute to do those. Okay, and then for your photos, I mean, it's so easy to just figure out if you want to, you know, add. Yeah, look at this. I had these fun mats. This one has an actual suitcase on it. So these are kind of fun, how fast that can come together. And that's with 3 photos. And then you can also put another photo here, or you can use stagger another one there. And it comes together very, very quickly. So let me know, see how fast that was? So let me know which one you like better. I have done several of these. So vote on my YouTube channel. This is always fun. I love to see what pages and layouts people like the best. So this is travel. This is called Passport Travel. The second one is football. And this is with the new Creative Memories football embellishment packs. The third one is graduation. Look how fun that is with all the different graduation pieces on there. You see, I did have quite a bit of fun with this. And as I said, some of them I rounded the corners, some of them I just staggered right or left. This is Party Time Blue. A little bit more masculine, so I didn't round the corners on that because they were craft brown and the blues. And then the last one I did was Halloween with some former CM collections. So tell me which ones you like the best. I did 5 different views. I just like them so much. Oh, I wanted to show you about the pens. This is a cool thing that you can do, especially with this particular one, is get the fine tip. I need to find the fine tip. And you're going to just, I find it very easy to just use one of my rulers, the side of my ruler. And I'm just going to use the fine tip side of my pen, line up a ruler, and then just draw some lines. It just makes another little border on this, especially if this pen's not coordinating with me today. Let's try this one. There you go, and just draw your lines all the way down. And then across the top. And it just makes another, it's almost like having a frame, but you didn't frame it. And it just makes it kind of fun. And it's much faster than doing stitching. I mean, that is another thought. You could do stitching on these, but this is much faster than doing stitching. Or you could do the stitching with the ruler, having the ruler on your edge. But the fine tip pens work really well for this, not the dot tips, but the fine tips, because you want a nice fine line. And then on something like the Halloween one, I might do some little jaggedy, zigzaggy little edges, and that will make it look a little bit more Halloweeny, if there is such a word. Okay, so that is what those little lines look like. They're very, very thin, fine lines that just go all the way around the outside of the page. And if you like, you can even do them on the inside between the other pieces as well. And that will just set it apart and put this on another level. So let me just draw those in really quick, and then that way you can See what I mean? And it is just a fun, so you can kind of dress this up, or you can have it be as fun as you want. Okay, so that's what it looks like if you've got the lines between each of them. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed my quick technique for tonight. I love to do fast pages that make it look like you've been working on them for a little bit longer. Tell me which one you like the best. Oh, I did have 5 here. Graduation is hiding. There we go. Tell me which one you like the best. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Bev DeBono Designs. If you're not currently working with a Creative Memories advisor, please consider me when you're placing your order, and I'd really appreciate it. Bye-bye for now.